When you're starting out as a filmmaker, one of the first pieces of advice you hear is tell your story. Write what you know. Make it personal. And that's good advice, until it isn't. Because there's something that happens when the story is too close to you. You stop shaping it like a filmmaker would. You stop treating it like a film, like something cinematic, and you start treating it like something too precious, like glass. You're afraid to challenge it. You're afraid to explore, to dig deeper. And instead, you get stuck in this loop of just trying to replicate or recreate that experience as best you can. And that's where things get stuck. There is a big difference between turning an experience into a film and just turning an experience into this reliving process that you put to the screen. When you're too close to it, you end up trying to be faithful to what happened, how it felt, what was said, what it looked like. But the film isn't about reporting. It's about building something that moves, that escalates, that resonates, that makes people feel, not just you. Without that distance or process, scenes tend to just sit there. They don't really shift, the tone stays the same, the character doesn't grow because the filmmaker hasn't had a chance to process their trauma or grow past it either. It's a way of showing yourself more than you would like to show an experience. It's like a mirror that outs you to the rest of the world. When I made my first short film, Diary of a Hungry Man, it was personal, but internal. It was this guy who was mourning the loss of his favorite food stalls. It was about chicken rice, memory, longing, and capitalism in disguise. But I was still right in the middle of what I was trying to express. And this is not to say I don't love the film. I definitely do love the film. But it's at this point in my career, I would say, career with apostrophes, that I notice my growth as a filmmaker. That I'm conscious of the way my stories are evolving and the way I choose to approach these stories and the way that helps me to evolve as a filmmaker. The sequel to that film, Diary of the Wolf, came later, almost 1 year actually to the date, and that one, story-wise, took years to finish. I didn't know I was writing Diary of the Wolf then, but it was really a story that I kept coming back to for over 3 or 4 years. But in perspective, that actually helped me to tell the story the right way and with enough distance that I could actually process what I was talking about. You know, these things came from real-life experiences I had over 3 internships. Each internship was pretty different from the last. The first one left me really drained and uncertain about where I fit in the workplace, and I think I wasn't suited to the job, I wasn't ready for that. And the second one showed me that even if I wasn't suited to a job, people can be kind, they can be encouraging, and you can actually learn and develop relationships with them, even when you still don't quite belong. And the third one helped me make peace with all of it, and it really gave me a place where I felt like I belong. And that's really that experience, a literal 3-act structure. So by the time the finished script for Diary of the Wolf came around, I wasn't really trying to replay these experiences I had. I'd already processed them, and I could actually shape them and make them work in a cinematic way. In Diary of the Wolf, the characters weren't always one-to-one copies of people I met or myself, but they were built out of those experiences. James, this new hitman who is the protagonist, who clearly is not cut out for the job he's doing, that really felt like me, and he represents my feelings during those times. Now Zach, who I would describe as the character that really helped me process these things, with his effortless confidence, that ability to be the supervisor in this world, now that's someone who thrives in the environments that James doesn't. He's a character I would have never been able to write if I hadn't processed my feelings on this issue. And then we have Roy, another newcomer, just like James, who does belong. A person I felt would definitely be someone we all met at some point in our journeys working, when starting a new job and feeling unsure of ourselves. If I had made that film back when I was still stuck in those emotions or mental space, I would have written a completely different story. More like a office horror film, I suppose. Probably more angry, more narrow, blinded by my own feelings to see what exactly I'm making, and not to even notice the muted or stunted nature of the emotional journey that my characters would go on. So for me, the distance was really helpful. I could actually look at the whole picture, the people, the structure, this emotion, all of it, and not be held back by my own bias, but to use my experiences to tell a cinematically engaging story that had tension and resolution, not something that just drowned in the emotions I was holding on to. When you're too close to a subject or a subject matter, you miss what's missing. You might forget to give your main character flaws, or keep the tone flat, or avoid writing scenes that dig into this uncomfortable stuff to really challenge your main character. Not to protect them, not to justify them, but to allow them the scars they need to evolve and move past these issues, or to even make the mistake of not moving past them. The point is, we need that storytelling tug of war, the element that actually makes a story, not something that's factually true but dramatically dull. Distance allows you the perspective to make better decisions. You know where to cut, you know where to dig deeper, you know when to add or subtract. You understand the difference between stillness and dullness, and most importantly, you remember that you're telling a story. To allow it to unfold, not to trauma dump with limited context and make something that feels emotional to you due to your experiences, but something that reaches out and draws someone in who hasn't had those experiences yet, so that they may experience it as you experienced it. It's beyond just expressing how something felt to you. You're turning it into something other people can feel too. This is a lesson that I personally always try to remember before I make a film. A question I found that has been useful to me is, if this character wasn't based on me, would I still protect them like this? If the answer is yes, maybe you're holding back, or still writing from a place of this raw emotion, picking at a scab, then maybe the story needs a bit more time. But if you're ready to let that character fall, fail, change, or even get called out, then the chances are you've got enough distance to really write them. Personal stories are powerful, and they're important. But personal without perspective is just another disjointed attempt at reconstruction or replication, not storytelling. That's what makes a story stick, and what makes a story stick in the first place isn't about how true it is to what happened. It's about how clearly you can see it when you're on the other side.